Hey, I'm back at it again. Your girl got on some plain old lips. I ain't got no lip gloss like y'all know me as having because I changed purses. And my lip gloss I left at home. So anyway. What the? Okay, I'm sorry y'all. My door just closed by itself. Anyway. So, I'm going to give y'all another story time. About how I'm gonna give y'all a story time of two dudes. Well, I don't know if I want to give y'all the two dudes because then I won't have a story time for tomorrow. Trying to figure out which one I want to give y'all a story time on. Either the drug dealer dude or is it the tattoo dude? Okay, I'm gonna do the drug dealer dude. So, y'all know after I got divorced, in my last video, me and my husband were living in this apartment complex, and we were living in the back. So when me and him, you know, separated or whatever, I didn't want to live in the back no more because, like, I'm by myself. I'm in the back by wood. So I told my grandma, because my grandma was assisting me until I got a job. And I told her, I was like, I don't want to live in the back of these apartment complex. I want to move to the front. So she was like, well, see if they got something in the front and see if they'll let you move up to the front. So, baby, they had one in the front facing the road. I had a screen door. Everything was good. So I move up there. I'm all happy, content, you know, working at the airport. Me and my cousin that I didn't know nothing alike, that everybody said we were like twins. We were getting to know each other. She was coming over, you know, and all that good stuff. So one day I'm coming out my apartment because I had got a car too. Listen, you don't need no nigga for nothing. I'm just playing. But I had got a car, and I was coming outside, and this guy was like, hey, excuse me, what's up? Like, he was like real chocolate. Operator that could do a 445 pickup at North Atlanta. I ain't doing no field trips because she'll never have nothing for me anyway. So he comes outside, he was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, I'm good, how are you? He was like, oh, I just saw you, I've been watching for a minute. Like, he lived directly across the street, like in the first apartment. Like, it was like 3 sets of apartments. On each one, it's like flat level apartments, no stairs or nothing. It's like a little house attached to each, like townhouses, but flat townhouses. I'm pretty sure y'all seen these apartments. They got a little balcony, whatever. Anyway, so he was like, I've been watching for a minute. I've been trying to get your attention, but you ain't never got my attention because I see you busy. Because I told y'all, once me and my husband separated, I became a Thotiana. I was starting it off. So yeah, I had a couple of male gentlemen callers. Yes, I did. But he was like, I be seeing that you be busy, if you know what I mean. And I was like, well, that shouldn't stop you from, you know, coming to say hey or whatever. Like, I ain't in no relationship. I'm just, you know, dating. Because that's what I was doing. And he was like, oh, okay, well, my name's Smoke. I was like, that's your real name? Yeah, listen, I don't do nicknames. I hate nicknames. I hate, oh, people call me this. I hate that. Sir, what's your government name? And he was like, my government name? Yeah, your government name, because if something happened to me, ain't nobody gonna find no smoke. You know how many smokes there are in the world? Like, smoke. And he was like, oh, my name Derek. Oh, okay, Derek. But I was like, I'll call you what you want me to call you, because, you know, you cute or whatever. You cute. Okay, so whatever. Little chocolate self. So I was like, okay, you cute. So we get to talking, we exchange numbers, whatever. We started kicking it. And now, mind you, I'm talking to a couple of different guys. I'm talking to a tattoo guy. I'm talking to the guy from the airport. I'm talking to, and I feel bad because now I go, hi. I was talking to a married guy. Hold on. I was talking to a couple of guys. I was talking to my tattoo guy. I was talking to my 9-to-5 guy. I was talking to the, you know, talking to the married guy. I was talking to the guy I met at the airport. And I was talking to, who else was I talking to? My baby daddy. So, you know, I had a couple. I had a couple. So, you know, then he came and added himself to the equation. So I was like, okay, all right. You want to be added to the team? come along. So we talking or whatever. Now, mind you, like, all of these guys that I was talking to them for like, I think I lived in my apartment for like 5 years, and for the 5 whole years, I was talking to each and every one of them. Oh, and I was talking to my dude I was with for like 9 years. Like, he the one who I got in a relationship with. So it's like 7 dudes on the roster. Listen, don't judge my life, okay? I told y'all I had trust issues, so I wasn't finna be with no one man. Anyway, so he was like, yeah, I really like you. Like, I really want to talk to you. Like, after we started talking, he was like, I'm really liking you, whatever. Now, mind you, he deals drugs. So, you know, he had a couple of, like, he wasn't like a regular drug dealer. Like, he was the weight dude. Like, you know, the one where everybody go, the regular drug dealers buy their pounds and stuff from? It was him. I didn't know this. I'm young. I'm dumb. I don't know. I just know you're a drug dealer. You said you was a drug dealer. Whatever. I didn't find out he was the pound man until one day he was like, what you doing? And I was like, nothing, just sitting at home. He was like, you got company? And I was like, no, not today. I don't have no company. And he was like, oh, well, I'm going to come over real quick. So I was like, okay. So he come over with this bag, and I'm like, where you going? Where you gonna go? And he was like, oh, I ain't going nowhere. He was like, I need you to hold something for me. I was like, oh, what? He was like, I just need you to hold these couple of things for me, and then I'm going to come back and get them when I got time to come back and get them. So I was like, okay. So he lifts up my sofa, unzips the cushion, and takes out like this pound of weed, he took out a lot. And then he had all this money wrapped up. And I'm looking like, oh my God, like, you sell drugs. And he was like, what you thought I did? And I was like, I don't know, but I think you sold drugs like that. You know, I thought you like sold a little bit here, a little bit there. He was like, no. So mind you, my grandma was still helping me pay bills. Now, I wasn't really feeling my grandma helping me pay bills. Not when I'm talking to all these people who got jobs and who got money flowing in. Like my tattoo guy had motorcycles. I went with him. He brought a new car off the lot. Listen, y'all don't have to help pay with some bills. Y'all don't have to help pay some bills, because my grandma can't pay my bills no more until I start working. And so he was like, what bills you need paid? Because I'm telling you, look, y'all don't have to pay. You don't have to pay a bill or something, because listen, now I know what you do. You don't have to pay a bill. And he was like, well, what bills you need paid? I was like, all of them. What you mean? But I'm splitting. I'm dishing out bills. Like you gonna pay lights. You gonna pay, insurance. You gonna pay part of rent. You pay the other part. Yeah, we gonna break it down. So he was like, what you need paid? I said, I don't know. I was like, I guess you can pay my light bill. And he was like, okay, I got a proposition for you. And I was like, well, what's the proposition? He was like, if I pay your light bill and your car insurance, you'll add my cars to your car insurance? And I was like, okay, that's fine. He was like, but it's one stipulation. And I was like, well, what's the stipulation? Like, what? He was like, can't another nigga be in your car. I was like, oh, well, everybody I talk to got their own car, so that's fine. Whatever, cool. So he was like, okay. So he started paying my light bill and my car insurance. So, we kicking it, whatever. He started catching feelings. I told y'all, at this point in time, I wasn't trying to be with nobody's son. I ain't trying to be in a relationship with nobody. So it was like, everybody started catching feelings. And it was like, I was hurting their feelings. They was telling me like, dang, you be hurting my feelings. And I'm like, how I'm hurting your feelings? Like, you don't even let nobody spend the night. What you need to spend the night over here for? You got your own place. Go home. Sleep in your own bed. I need my own bed to myself. I don't need you staying here with me. So he was like, one day he was like, I'm really catching feelings for you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, so I'm trying to be with you. I was like, but I don't want to be in a relationship. Like, I'm just not trying to be in a relationship. Because, at this point in time, I was still, I don't know if it was grieving my marriage or my divorce, but I didn't want to be with nobody. I just didn't. I didn't want to be with nobody. None of that. So he was like, so what that mean? And I was like, I just don't want to be in a relationship. I'm not trying to be in a relationship. I said, you see, I have a lot, like, I have a lot going on, so I'm not trying to be in a relationship with anybody. You know, I'm just trying to be out. I'm young. Like, I got out of a marriage. Like, let me enjoy my 20s. Like, let me. So he was like, all right. I knew his feelings were hurt, but I really didn't care. I ain't even gonna lie. I didn't care. Your feelings hurt? Oh well. Along with the fact that my tattoo guy was catching feelings and he was popping up at my house. Along with the other dude I was messing with that I was in a relationship with for 9 years, he popping up at my house. Mind you, the other guy, the married guy that I was messing with, he popping up at my house. So I never knew who was coming to my house. Okay, because I was young and dumb and I ain't was like, don't pop up at my house. I enjoyed the pop-up sometimes because I really wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't working. I was just sitting at home. And, if I felt like going somewhere, I felt like buying something, hey, I need some money. One of y'all, somebody, give me some money. Anyway, so one day he came out the apartment and me and my cousin was going into the apartment. And I was like, hey, Shatavia, did you leave that light on? And she was like, no, I turned off all the lights. And I was like, girl, somebody done broke into my apartment. So I go, and she was like, well, go in there and see. I said, I ain't gonna go in there and see. So I called, because he the closest one, because he stayed across the street. So I went and knocked on his door. And I was like, hey, what you doing? He was like, nothing, just chilling. I was like, I think somebody broke into my apartment. He was like, they broke into your apartment on the main front street in broad daylight. They broke into your apartment. I was like, they sure did, because my cousin said she ain't leave no lights on, and I ain't leave no lights on. So mind you, his stuff in my house. So he was like, he get his little stuff, and he walk across the street. He's like, give me the key, let me unlock the door. So I was like, okay. So when he goes and checks, he walk around and check. I ain't had nothing but a 1 bedroom. It's a bedroom, a restroom, living room, kitchen, laundry room. Wasn't nobody in there. So he was like, ain't nobody in here, man. Y'all tripping. So he go back home. So he was like, I'm going to come over later. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So later on that night, my tattoo guy used to pop up, like, at some point in time, like, I started to catch his schedule. Like, after he left the club, he would pop up at my house. How I know he would pop up at my house? Because I hear his music coming down the street. Like on that TikTok, whatever, like, boom, boom. That's him coming down the street. So I'm like, okay, I didn't know you were popping up at my house. And so to get my attention, like, because I was on, a flat level apartment, they knock on my bedroom door. Because most of the time I was in my bedroom, laying on the bed. So I was like, okay. Because I couldn't hear you knock on the front door anyway. I don't know why, but I didn't hear nobody knock on the front door. So I was like, oh. So I look out the window, peep out the window. Oh. I was like, well, what you doing here? He was like, oh, I just want to come see you. You got somebody in here? And I was like, no, I don't. But you can't, at the point in time, I was like, you can't keep popping up at my house like this. Like, you don't have to call. You don't have to do something, because you can't keep popping up at my house like this. And he was like, I just wanted to come see you. And I was like, well, that's fine, but you're also drunk. And I don't feel like dealing with this. I don't feel like dealing with drunk Carl. I don't. Yeah, his name was Carl. I was like, I don't feel like dealing with you tonight, because I already knew I had smoke coming over. After he did his little runs, whatever, he was coming over. So I was like, I don't really feel like dealing with you. And he was like, please, just let me spend the night. And I was like, spend the night? He's like, man, I'm so messed up. I said, but you drove from the club to my house instead of just driving from the club to your house, because he lived down the street, like maybe like 2 minutes down the street. And he was like, I'm just messed up. Just let me sit for a minute. And I was like, you can sit for a minute, but you can't stay. We ain't doing nothing. Like, you need to just go home and sleep it off. So I'm trying to get him out the house. Now, mind you, I didn't know Smoke was at home. I thought he was out running his errands. So he seen this man come to my house. So when he didn't call, I was like, well, maybe he ain't coming. So I left it alone. So I called him the next day after, Carl left, after he sobered. So he sobered up and left. Because I was like, you can't stay. Not today. Not today. He was like, all right. I'm finna go home now. I feel a little better. I was like, okay, bye. So then when Smoke didn't come over, I was like, So I called him. He didn't answer my phone calls. And I'm like, well, that's unusual. Like, he usually answers my phone calls. Like, whenever I call, they answer. It ain't no never, let me call you back, da-da-da. I get an answer. Out of all of them, I get an answer. So I'm like, okay. So I, clean up my house, go about my day. I call again. Like a couple hours later, he don't answer. And I'm like, well, that's unusual. Hold on, y'all. So once he answered my phone calls, I was like, well, I'm gonna go knock on his door just to see if he at home. He wasn't at home. So I was like, well, dang, where he at? But I was like, whatever. I ain't gonna worry about it. He'll call eventually. So the dude I wound up being in a relationship with that took me through oh holy hell. He called me and he was like, what you doing? And I was like, nothing. I said, I'm just sitting at home looking at TV. And he was like, oh, well, you want some company? And I was like, yeah, you come over, that's fine. And he was like, okay. So, he wound up spending the whole day. I think he was the first one to ever spend the night at my house. And it was on accident. It wasn't on purpose. So, he spends the night at my house. I still ain't heard from Smoke. I still ain't heard. Because everybody would call me, what you doing? Nothing. Oh, okay. Well, I was just calling to check on you. That's what I would get. So, he didn't do none of that. So, the next day, I was like, okay, cool. I call him. I said, hey, call me when you get a chance. Now, mind you, his stuff's still in my house. Okay? Still in my sofa. Okay? So, I'm like, So, I go, I'm being a little nosy. I want to count and see how much cash in my house. Just in case. You want to act stupid. So, I was like, I wonder if I can take some money out. He wouldn't notice. But how he had it wrapped up, he would have noticed. So, so one night, now this is the one night I just happened to be at home by myself. Wasn't nobody at my house. I was just at home by myself and I was looking at TV. And I think in front of my apartment was a street light. So, I just so happened to look out the window and see somebody standing outside my window. And I was like, well, ain't nobody called me and told me they were coming over. And ain't nobody they just standing there. So I get a little scared. I call the police and I'm like, somebody's standing outside my window. I don't know if they're trying to break in my house. I don't know what they're trying to do. And so the police come and they're like, well, nobody's standing outside your window. When we pulled up, nobody was outside. Nobody's there. So I was like, okay. So the police leave. And the next day, I'm calling everybody. And I was like, somebody was standing outside my window. I don't know who it was. I don't know what's going on. But somebody was standing outside my window. And so everybody was like, well, you need to be careful. You want me to come over there? You want me to spend the night? And I was like, no. Can't spend the night. So the next day, it happened again. Somebody standing outside my window. And I was like, man, what is going on? I mean, I am a single female. I am in the front. So people that walk by my apartment know, it's just me. Because I used to have a screen door, so I sit on my sofa with the door open, with the screen door closed, looking at TV. So, you walk by people's apartment, you see in their apartment. So, I called Smoke and I was like, hey, did you see somebody standing outside my window when you came home the other day? He was like, no, why would somebody be standing outside your window? I was like, that's the same question I want to know. Why would somebody be standing outside my window? That's crazy. He was like, well, if I see somebody, I'll let you know. He was real short. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. So, I think the next day, I was doing something. And I had left and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be smart. I'm going to leave my blinds open and just see who it is. Just so happened that night that didn't come. I guess, they were like, her blinds open. She going to see who it is. So we ain't going to do that. Excuse me. Need some ice. So, my mama tell me, she was like, well, you need some curtains. Well, I ain't had no curtains. So I put a sheet over my window. And so, the next night, somebody standing outside my window. So at this point in time, I was like, I need to see who this is. So, I pulled I get on the floor, crawl to the window. Y'all should see me. I slid off my bed, right? Got on the floor, crawling on the floor, and moved my curtain just enough where I know you don't see me moving and peek out my curtain. Tell me why it was Smoke standing outside my window. So I was like, oh, so we playing these games. So I called him and I was like, well, what? So I call him, he don't answer. I call him again, he don't answer. So I called him the one last time, he was like, hello. He was like, what's up? And I was like, well, what you doing? He was like, oh, nothing, I'm out and about. I'm running my, dropping off stuff. And I was like, oh, I said, so you're not at home? And he was like, no, I ain't at home. I was like, oh, okay. So he was doing it so frequently. Well, I know it's crazy. I know it's gonna sound crazy. I know. I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you? I had gotten used to it. Like, I had gotten used to the fact because he wanted to know who was at my house. Because he was catching feelings. He wanted to know who was at my house. So, one day, the dude I was messing with was at my house. The one I got into a long-term relationship. We just gonna call him. We're gonna call him by his name. His name is Carvis. So Carvis comes up in my house, and he was like, "Did you ever find out who was peeking in your window?" And I was like, "Yes, that dude across the street that I was talking to." And he was like, "Why he peeking in your window?" I was like, "I don't know." So he's spending the night or whatever, and he turns and looks, because I had to sit down and cry. I was like, at this point in time, I know who it is. Because he was like, why you still got this sheet up here? Like, they ain't peeing in your window no more, take it down. And I was like, okay, I'll take it down now. If he peep in here, he peep in here. So he turns to the side, and he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, what? He was like, is somebody standing outside your window? I was like, oh, that ain't nobody but smoke. He was like, are you serious? I was like, what? He was like, so it's a whole nigga standing outside your window and you're okay with it? I was like, he ain't gonna do nothing. He just want to know who over here. The look he gave me, like, you wasn't stupid. He looked at me like, you wasn't stupid. But at that point in time, I told you, like, this had been happening for like almost 2 months. Like, I was just like, eh. He was like, that's not normal that you okay with somebody stalking you. So that you have a peeping Tom and you okay with it. That's not normal. So I guess he heard him talking and he left. So the next day, that morning, we had went up and we had went to breakfast. And he was like, well, we just gonna drive your car. Because he had a Suburban. He was like, you got this tiny Honda Accord. We finna drive your car and go get some breakfast. Now, mind you, I had forgot he told me not to let no other nigga drive my car. As long as I didn't do that, he would still pay my bills or whatever. So I come back. Carvis leaves. He goes home or whatever. I get a phone call. He said, he don't even say hey. He don't say none of that. He says, I thought I told you not to let no other nigga drive your car. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, so did you let another nigga drive your car? And I was like, huh? He was like, don't hum me, don't play stupid. Like, did you let another nigga drive your car? And I was like, well, we just went to breakfast. I mean, I wasn't really thinking about it. Like, we just went to breakfast. He was like, okay. He was like, so you're going to have to find another way to pay your car insurance. You're going to have to find another, like, because he was paying more bills than most. He was like, you're going to have to find another way to pay your light bill. You're going to have to find another way for somebody to put food in your refrigerator. You're going to have to find a way for somebody to put some money in your pocket. You ask that nigga. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, why are you acting like this? I was like, okay, I was wrong. He shouldn't have been in my car. Like, I knew I was wrong. Like, once he said it, I knew I was wrong. I was like, okay, I was wrong. Should nobody have been in my car. I'm sorry. I apologize. He was like, okay, but tell that nigga to do that. And he was like, I'll be over later to get my stuff. Because he would come and get some stuff and then leave, come get some stuff. But he still has some stuff over there. So I was like, wow, is that how we doing it? That's what we really doing? That's what we really doing? He was like, yeah. Man, I thought he was playing. I was like, whatever. I was like, okay, Smoke, whatever. Baby, I get at my door. I opened the door. He was like, I came to get my shit. And that hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings so bad. Because I was like, wow, really? So this what we doing? Like, you trust me enough to do this, but you want to accept my apology? Like, I know you have feelings for me. Yes, I know. Like, you're not the only one that got feelings for me. I mean, but I don't want a relationship. I'm not trying to be I don't want the relationship. And you can't get mad at me because I don't want a relationship. But mind you, you messing with other girls, and you mess with other girls because you say I don't want no relationship. So you gonna mess with other girls. So you can mess with other girls, but I can't mess with other dudes. So I was like, wow. That's okay. I said, I just want you to remember this. I said, don't call me, don't text me. I just want you to remember what you said. He was like, I ain't gonna forget. I was like, all right, whatever. So he stopped talking to me. Like, he would come out the door. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't say nothing to me. And I was like, well, damn. Oh, you really hurt her. You butt hurt. Okay. So I'm coming out the door one day. He just so happened, and he was like, hey. Now this was like a couple of months back. He gave me the silent treatment for months. And I was like, hey. And he got his car left. And I was like, well, dang, you really mad at me still? You still mad at me? So then one day he came over. He was like, you know what? He was like, I really cared for you, and you really broke my heart. He was like, I just wanted to let you know that. He was like, and I want to let you know I'm moving. I was like, well, dang. When I tell you that broke my little heart, he ain't talking to me no more. I think he just recently started talking to me on Facebook. Like, he asked me to be his friend on Facebook. And he started messaging me. He was like, hey, just want to check on you. Like, I was like, dang. I didn't think about it. But anyway, y'all. So, that's my story time of one of my little side dudes. I know I got 6 more to go. So, anyway, I will holler at y'all later, YouTube. My kids getting on the bus. So, I'm going to have to peace out, deuces. And remember to love the ones that love you. I love them because you never know when it'll be their last step. All right, y'all. See you later.